Hi, welcome back to my channel. Yes, indeed, you see me cross-stitching today. Excuse me. I took a couple of weeks off, but let me tell you why. I only wanted to take 1 week off to see if I diamond painted every day, how far I could get on my pattern, my Chuck Pinson Spring Mountain Majesty. Well, it doesn't matter how many hours I put into this diamond painting, which is underneath this right here. I'm not making any headway. I think I'm on finishing up the third row, and there's like 8 or 9 rows. There's a heck of a lot. Oops, I just dropped my needle. Bye, needle. It's all right. We keep extras right here. We keep extras right there. So anyway, then I started last week. I said, okay, 1 more week of dedicated my time to this diamond painting. Then I had to factor in, I'm just going to see where I left off, and I'll tell you about what I'm working on in a minute. Then I had to, let's see, I'm just trying to make it so that I can see and that you can see. I think you can see. Okay. So then I had to factor in the fact that I was in an extended fibromyalgia flare, and I was spending a lot of time in bed. So I would try to give my diamond painting a solid 2 or 3 hours a day, or maybe 2 hours a day, and then I'd be in bed the other 22 hours of that day. That was just how it was. And then I started thinking about my cross stitching. I'm like, well, Dad, Rob, what's going on? Get back to stitching. But I just didn't want to. I was too tired. If I was in bed, I just wanted to play my word games and call it a day. But I started thinking about poking this needle and getting back to the thick of things when it came to enjoying the cross stitching. So I pulled out 3 patterns. I pulled this one out, I pulled out my temperature tree, and I pulled out my Taylor's Oldest Time Sal. And then I was going to bring the temperature tree up to date. Sorry, my frame wasn't tight, so I have to reorient things for a second. And then it dawned on me that May is literally right around the corner. And since I'm working on this Autism Gnome for Autism Awareness Month, which is going to be over as of Saturday, I think Saturday is the 30th, I better see how much of this I can get done. So I started working on this the night before last. So today is Wednesday. I started working on this Monday night, and as of Monday night, all I had to do was the center. This whole frame was done. Less one stitch. Somehow I left one stitch off there. I gotta sew in that stitch. But so I worked on the outline of the brain, which is all 310, as you can see, and now I'm working on this middle section. So I'm back to stitching. Does it mean you're gonna see me stitching every day from now on? Yes, indeed. Now, not only did I take some time away from stitching to rest up a lot, but I also started a new jigsaw puzzle, and so I want to give that some love and attention as well. Now, as soon as I kind of wrap things up with the fibromyalgia flare, I catch a bug. Now, my family believes in something, and maybe your family has a similar belief. Sharing is caring. No, I'm being silly. Why am I saying sharing is caring? Well, my kids, Ari and Mikey, asked me to babysit Livy and tons of time. Well, I've been doing a lot of reading, a heck of a lot of reading. And I'm really, really happy about that because I want to see if I can tell you what my... Okay, here comes a cat. Robin cannot make a video without a cat joining us. Okay, so I want to talk about something in kind of a negative way, but it's going to come full circle. Now, I usually read about 40 or 50 books a month. I used to read 50 or 60, but it's dropped by about 10. So in January, I read 51 books. And that was all the way through January 27th or 28th. And then something happened, and this is where the negativity is going to come in. And it put me in a really bad psychological spot, you know, really bad triggers. And so I ended up going into the hospital, and I didn't read that last 4 days of January. And so I'm home by, you know, by February 1st or 2nd, whatever day I came home, I don't even remember. And now I'm trying to get my reading mojo back. I'm trying to decide because I want to. Okay, I'm just trying to see how I can do this without having to have my floss stretched across the back too much. I come home, and all I did that first week or 2 or 3 that I came home from the hospital was I binge watched a lot of TV. So in February, I only read, and that's why I paused early to get my spreadsheet, I only read 22 books in February. And I know only to me is only, but to somebody else, that's magnanimous. But everybody's reading pace is different. But for me, 22 books is indeed the lowest amount of books that I have read per month for years. That's my lowest number ever. So I was in a phase of healing. And then March rolls around. Did I do something wrong? No, I didn't. So March rolls around, and my reading mojo is coming back. Instead of reading 22 books, I read 37 in March. So almost double. All right, I'm getting back into the groove of things. I'm getting back on my horse, and I'm not falling off. I made a bunch of videos between February and March. Oh, well over 100. Well over 100. And now we're in April. Okay? And so as of today, and today is April 27th, so I have 27, 28, 29, 30. I have 4 reading days left. But with 4 reading days, 4 days left of this month, I am currently on book number, I'm looking at my spreadsheet, so if I'm sound muffled, there's a reason for that. I'm on book 50, so there's a chance that I might get 55 or 60 books read this month. That's called getting my reading mojo back. So I'm still spending a lot of time in bed between the flare and the flu and or whatever this virus is, but I am doing a lot of reading. Now, what else am I doing besides reading? Well, I'm hooked on Wordle, Nerdle, Octurtle, Quirtle, Dual Trigirdle, Settercurdle, Hurdle. Yes, I'm hooked on all of those games. Now, I only played maybe one of those games yesterday because I started stitching this, and this just took all my time and energy. And so I didn't play all my games yesterday, but I've been playing a lot of those. And the last thing I want to mention is, and I have to get a different tablet for this, is, oh, I almost knocked my coffee over. The last thing I want to mention, because this is, I guess, going to be a brief stitching chat, but there's something that I have to share. Bear with me. I'm reading as many multicultural / own voices books. I'm waiting for my Kindle to snap out of it. And I don't know where I put my needle. Dagnabbit, what did I do? Yes, you see these threads here. There's a method to my madness for that. All right, so what that's what I started to say. I'm reading a lot of multicultural and own voices books as much as I can. And that might only be 2 or 3 books a month for now, but it's a consistent number, and it's very edifying to read things from others' perspective when it comes to issues of racism. And there was something that resonated with me so, oh my gosh. Let me tell you what I read. I think I saved it. Okay. Before I tell you what I read in this book and why I mention multicultural/racism, I'm not calling anybody out or anything like that. But there's something that the words that I'm going to read to you are emotions that I had all while I'm trying to find answers about what happened. Now, what happened was almost 3 months ago. So I'm over it. I am. It's over, and it's over with. But when you read words that resonate with you, you have to stop for a minute and say, why do those words mean so much to me? Now, even though it's been 3 months, you have to think of, like, if somebody lost a loved one, right? They go through the 7 stages of grief. And they go through things like the funeral, sorting out belongings, and I totally messed up on that stitch. They go through all the normal things that happen after you lose someone. And then they have no choice but to go on with their lives. But doesn't mean that they forever stop thinking about their lost loved one. No. There's going to be a song. There's going to be a scent. There's going to be something they see on TV. It could be a conversation they overhear. But they're going to think about that loved one. And they're going to revisit those stages of grief. Probably for the rest of time. And I can almost say that that's true because my mom has been gone for 20-something years. And do you know that I keep her picture on my mirror in my bedroom? And do you know that I think about her all the time? I dream about her all the time. I wish she knew that I'm a crafter now. I wish she knew that I was a book reviewer now, because she loved to craft. She could do anything. Any hobby: sewing, knitting, crocheting, needlepoint, cross stitching, macrame, pottery, oil paint. I'm probably leaving some out. She read voraciously. She did jigsaw puzzles, except she was way better than me because she did 2,000-piece puzzles. I don't do 2,000-piece puzzles, not yet anyway. So you revisit that loss. You don't let it go. It's impossible. Well, that's my personal take on how I feel about what happened with me in Zoom. Is I sadly revisit that. And I revisit it mainly due to triggers, believe it or not. I think that I have so much going on, with reading, with blogging, with content for this channel, with my family, with my faith, with my friends, that I don't put a lot of thought into what happened. But I do think about what happened. And when I say that, okay, it looks like I'm done with this color, so I can, now I'm just going to see, let me just see, I think this is going to be blue, so we're just going to stick this up here. So in the process of me getting past the feelings of sadness over my situation. And people may say, God, Robin, leave it alone. This is something that I have held fast to what I believe. I have held fast to the idea that, I'm sorry, I'm just bringing up markup so I can know what the next color that I need. I have held fast to the idea that I am too much for people. And I said this so many times, and this is why I'm having this discussion right now. I'm sorry. I'm trying to figure out. Oh, I didn't know where I put my bag. All right, so it looks like I need this blue. Of course I get the wrong blue out. Hang on a second, I just have to make sure I get the right blue out. I keep getting these blues confused, so I'm just going to my, this is, I need, because this mixes up two colors in the same area for some weird reason. So I'm looking for 825. Okay. Sorry for the sniffle. So, sorry about that, but let's see if I can show you what I'm talking about. In this part of the brain, right where I'm at, there's going to be 2 stitches in one blue, and then all this is another blue. Oh, I wasn't done with the red. I've got to put red up here. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and get that red. If I brought the red floss in here. It's not really red, it's kind of an orange. I just saw a mistake. So, I have said more than once when I've talked about that situation that my enthusiasm is what gets me in trouble. I'm very excitable, and I came up on something that was so much fun that I showed exuberance, and I got too excitable. And there's a lot of facets and factors as to why things happen. And me being removed from that community, there were, let's see where this red is. I'm sorry, I'm just looking at my pattern. Okay. There were a lot of things going on that were behind the scenes that I wasn't aware of, and there were a lot of cues that I didn't pay attention to, and I could have handled myself better, and I could have handled things differently. But it's all water under the bridge, because it is what it is. But listen to these words from this book. It's called My 7 Black Fathers by Will Juando. And in this book it says, now, let me preface this. This is a memoir of an biracial activist named Will Juando. I won't say his whole African name Nigerian name, because I might fumble his whole name. Now, what he says, what I'm about to read to you, is something that he experienced when he was just in 3rd grade, just 8 years old, and he was experiencing racism to the nth degree. And he made a statement, and it sums up to me. I don't want to say I don't care. In some ways, I don't care what everybody else thinks about what happened or what everybody else says about what happens. We're going to talk about how I feel about what happened. So, again, disregarding what others may say or think, I want to tell you how I feel. And I have been trying to put it into words so many times, so many months. I've been trying to put it into words, and I could never fully capsulize it. Guess what? This 8-year-old kid, right? The teacher asked a question, and two boys raised their hand. And instead of just raising his hand, he made some kind of a sound like, ah, like, just something to get the teacher's attention. And when he did that, another little 8-year-old kid in his class did it. But he gets sent to the principal's office for disrupting the classroom, when all he was doing was what the other kid was doing. They were both doing the same thing. And I've held fast to that right there. Whatever was going on in Zoom, I wasn't doing anything different than what anybody else was doing. I was doing what everybody else was doing. So this little boy sent to the principal's office for being disruptive. This is what Will Jawando says in his book. He said, enthusiasm, eagerness, and a desire to be acknowledged for something positive, all qualities that were encouraged and rewarded in his white peers, while they were discouraged and penalized in me. Oh my word. This book is not out yet. It'll be out on May 3rd. I so wish I had read this book when I first got it back in December, because I have an eidetic memory, and I remember what I read. So I'll never forget these words. So had I read this book, maybe I would have learned a lesson that my eagerness, my enthusiasm, my desire to be acknowledged, not going to happen. Not going to happen. Didn't happen. And I want to say something that I never said is, whenever people would talk about cross-stitching, I learned to cross-stitch at the same time others learned to cross-stitch. Some learned at a retreat, and I learned right here in my office with the aid of a friend of mine. And anytime they talked about newer cross-stitchers, they would say, oh, so-and-so's so good, so-and-so's doing this, so-and-so's doing that. But no one ever said, Robin took on to it. Mostly nobody said, Robin took to it really well. Robin, whatever. I wasn't acknowledged, but that's okay. Because we're not on the playground, okay? We're not in elementary school, so I'm not looking at it from that angle. I just want to say this again. My encouragement, my enthusiasm, my eagerness, my desire to be acknowledged, I was shut down for it. I was told that I make everything about me. I was told that I make others feel uncomfortable. I was told that I make others wish that they make others feel like they need to leave because I was there. What was my biggest problem? To me, remember, this is my perspective, it was my enthusiasm, my eagerness, my excitability. This type A personality that I have that bleeds over into every aspect of my life. John Smith reads 10 books, Robin's going to read 15. John Smith writes 12 reviews, Robin is going to write 15. Mary does 20 jumping jacks, Robin's going to do 30. That's the type A personality. Yeah, I compete with myself. I look at my stats and I say, okay, I'm going to do better next time. So my competition has always been with myself. And I think that I compete with my own self because of that type A personality that I have. So, and then another thing too is I have a strong personality and I have very strong opinions. And then the last thing that I want to mention that Jawando says in his book, he says that repetitive chastisement narrows us, saps us of joy and potential by ceaselessly reminding us of how little is possible. Repetitive chastisement. There were a few people that never spoke to me in DM unless they wanted to jump on my back, okay, or down my throat. Repetitive chastisement. Now, the context of this book is how a black man changed the statistics of black men that grew up poor in America. So his words have nothing to do with me in the sense of growing up a poor black man. But his words are edifying and educational nonetheless. And I know that when I read books, I'm always looking for a lesson. And I feel like this book gave me a lesson. It reminded me that excellence can make others feel inferior and insecure. And I need to dial it down and just do me. And my therapist made a good point maybe a month or two ago, is when I felt sad and I wanted to give up stitching, he asked me who am I stitching for. I didn't understand where he was coming from with that question. I'm stitching for myself. Excuse me. I'm stitching for myself. I love to stitch. Who are you reading for? I'm reading for myself. I love to read. Who are you reviewing for? I like to write my thoughts about books. Who are you making videos for? So I'm like, okay, Mark, what is your point? Those were leading questions. Those were rhetorical questions. And all I got to say is this. I'm doing me, and I'm finding joy in what I'm doing. And if indeed my enthusiasm, my eagerness, my desire to be accepted was too much, it got me put out of a place where I was judged for reasons that no one can fully make me understand. But I haven't lost hope. Look at this channel. When this happened, I dropped down to 826 subscribers. 3 months later, I am at 1,021. Every day I get 2 or 3 new subscribers. Every day. 200 plus subscribers since this happened. So all I can do. Okay, I just had to get that. I don't know. I hope my head wasn't in the way, but I had left that little bit out. So that's it. Wow. Talking about this book just brought in another 18 minutes, so we're going to end this video. But I want to thank you for watching, and sorry that the angle isn't quite right. I have to figure out how to put this. Let me try something. No, see, I can't do it. Maybe. I'm going to try to work on my angle a little bit, because I want it to be over, not angled, but we'll figure that out next time. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.